I want to thank you all for coming out. This hard bunch we have here was going to be a big seminar, but now it's a cozy meeting. So we'll all get an opportunity to say a lot. So,
Personal attention.
So Jamie Miller here. I met about 3.5 years ago in the dog park, which I have been talking about already. And along the way, I've got a little bit of information about what he did. And just probably a couple of months ago, I found out he had some videos that I could watch, and I started to get in a little bit deeper dive. And then I realized he would be a great speaker for us, because if you're like me, when you try to talk about climate to somebody you don't really know well, or you don't know what their position is, it often leads to like unexpected replies, most of them not pleasant. And you know, I've had people tell me only God can control the climate. Are you so arrogant that you can think humans can control it? Things like that. So the idea is to find ways to communicate intentionally that will get people's interest and stimulate a conversation. And Jamie's like an expert at that.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that, Jeff.
Okay.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you for having me, Jeff. All right, so I'm not going to do a bunch of hand raising, but you'll notice probably that I do a lot of interaction with you guys. All right, it's not going to be a one-way traffic. Before I start teaching you guys how to communicate more effectively for what you're looking to communicate about, just show of hands, how many of you, like me, do believe your ability to communicate is critical for what you're looking to do? Okay, if you look around the room, Okay, how many of you, like me, believe your ability to communicate is important for what you're looking to do? Okay, so we're all in agreement, every hand went up. Before I start sharing communication notions with you guys, what benefits would you guys come up with to be better in the area of communication?
You mean like having people respond positively when
Is that
bring up a subject?
Who would agree that's beneficial? Okay, what other benefits do you guys get being better in your communication?
To get fact out over lies and untruths.
Okay, to try and get clarity in terms of fact, like basically how to win a negotiation to a degree. Okay. What about yourselves? Any benefits you come up with being better in communication? Are you a mother-daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Does it help you be a better mum to communicate with your daughter? Okay, guys. All right, so look, trust, reputation, credibility, these are all very important notions, correct? Now, a lot of you probably know Jeff, who introduced me. My question is, do you have to know, he used the word expert. I get a lot of people saying different things around me when I get in front of a room like this. Do you guys have to know anything about my background to feel like I'm an expert, or do you all have faith in Jeff that I must be an expert to be invited? So what is it? All faith in Jeff, or you have to know things?
Give us a nutshell.
Okay, so watch this. There's a reason, method to my madness here. If I ask you, do you have to know things about me, or do you have faith in Jeff? Here's what happens. If you all say, we've got faith in Jeff, then I make it the first lesson. It's very important. I don't have to share anything about myself. Have you guys noticed a theme? Since I've been up here, what have I been doing so far whilst I've been up here? Has any of you noticed a theme so far?
Asking questions.
Boom. Rita, have I come here and told you a bunch of things? No. I'm asking questions. And I'm asking questions to steer a conversation in a particular direction that I want the conversation to go. For instance, so what's your name at the back? Mira? Is it Mira? No.
Lisa?
Lisa. So Lisa asked a question out there. Are you here for the climate talk? And people were like, no, like, okay. I'm going to be teaching you guys questions that you can ask, which dictate the response that you're wanting, which lessens the chance of a, no, I'm running away from this. Does that make sense? Is that resonating with you guys? If I can teach you one-off question you can ask people, and they start selling themselves on climate change before you share anything, would you say that was beneficial for you to learn that? I'll make a promise. The word promise, the way I teach the word promise is to say that if you promise something, you have to deliver on it. All right, so I will make sure that you learn a question that you can ask people that get them to open up and sell themselves in a positive direction to where you want the conversation to go, where you don't tell them a bunch of things first. So you will learn that tonight. What is your name, mate? Tom. So Tom said, in a nutshell stuff. So whenever I do a virtual Zoom to a certain companies, my phone blows up with text messages with a whole load of people saying, Jamie, I want your help. Can I pay you for your services to educate them? That's a little virtual, so a whole load of random phone numbers. I take my clients away on holidays to like Milan, Italy. I took Christian in February. I like spoiling my clients rotten. I helped a client, a financial advisor, get business on a golf course. I believe we can all enjoy our life. I think you can achieve what you're looking to achieve with climate change, but also at the same time enjoy the way you're going about it. I did a talk at university, and the kids in college, so UCF will hire me to come along, and I had 54.5% of the people say my talk was the best one helping people to get jobs in the near future. All right, because when you go into an interview, do you know halfway through an interview, what does the interviewer ask? Do you have any questions for me? What do 9 out of 10 people say? No, I'm good, thanks. So I teach people, kids or different people interviewing, how to ask the best question at that point. Have any of you ever heard the notion, and you might hear me say this again, whoever asks a question steers the conversation? Lisa's heard that before. Lisa, would you agree that's a game changer, since a lot of people in this room don't know this? I promise you, remove the goalpost. It changed the goalpost for every conversation I ever have, based on the caliber of the questions that we ask, which will dictate the conversation, the way we're going to have it. I'm going to just click through all these slides because I don't need to share too much. These are all my clients. That's an example of a client. I helped him get a job. I put smiley faces after all my clients' names. This is Lingo. He's a local realtor. He's 25 years of age. I just helped him secure a $7.95 million listing. All right. Do I have your buy-in that I might know what I'm talking about yet, Tom, or do you want to know more? I'll just go straight to this one. Maybe this will help you out. Okay. Where does this look like I'm talking coming up? The Pentagon. Tom, is it good enough that I've been invited to talk at the Pentagon that I might know what I'm talking about in communication for you? Does that help a bit more? Yeah, okay. My point is this, I'm going to go to a first lesson. Am I oversharing? How many of you are actually passionate about climate change? Like you're passionate about it? Okay. Most people, when they're passionate about something, they do the most amateur play. That's the worst thing they can do. They talk too much. All right, I heard Steve actually beforehand. I was just talking and just finding out, how do your conversations go if you're talking to someone? He goes, I tell them. Now, just to make this a lesson for you, have any of you ever heard the expression, telling is not selling? Have any of you ever? Okay, there's an expression in the sales world, telling is not selling. If you teach too much, you won't sell anyone on anything. All right, so what you've got to do more so is make it interactive and a two-way conversation with people. All right, you want to get away with telling people, for instance, I know now as a result of my conversation with Steve, we've only got 45 years left of whatever supplies. You're educating me on something. And every time you feel compelled where you make a statement about something, in one ear and out the other. I'll give you an example. Does anyone not know this movie? Everyone know this movie? What's your name? Sorry? Maria. Maria, do you know this movie? Okay. Everyone help Maria out. All right. What movie is this? Karate Kid. Okay. It's a classic, Maria. Even my almost 19-year-old son knows this movie. What is Daniel being taught here? What's this refer to? Do you remember? Any of you?
Wax on, wax off.
Thank you, Steve. Wax on, wax off. Right. So, Maria, here's the deal. When wax on, wax off is being taught to Daniel, wasn't he like, Mr. Miyagi, what does this got to do with karate, right? By the end of the movie, was it everything to do with karate and how he defended himself? So you guys are going to have what I call some wax on, wax off moments here tonight as I talk to you guys. Here's why. I'm going to share with you potentially how I get my kids to do whatever I want them to do and make it their idea to do it, where I'm not telling them. All right, so it's probably not a good idea that you have your daughter here because you could have used this stuff going forward. I may share with you how I helped a male client of mine get a date on online dating, and it's the same questions that you'll use to get someone to buy into climate change. It doesn't change. Can we agree communication doesn't just affect climate change, it doesn't just affect personal life, it doesn't just affect your business life. Everything I'm going to teach you tonight is applicable in any situation that you face. Now, at this point you might tell I've got an accent. I've been told I'm very charming, debonair, and I can swear, it sounds polite. I kept the accent because supposedly it makes me sound really intelligent in this country. I am now a proud American, all right?
What is that? Like, you're right. It gets people's attention, and they tend to, like, want to hear more.
I don't control it. I just take advantage of the fact that I kept my accent on purpose. I make sure I go back to England every year just to replenish and recharge the accent. In most rooms when I share this, it gets a laugh. In this room in particular with the topic we're talking about, I drive a truck. Yay, it's like, okay. True story, I bought a truck just to feel like a man. That was a true story, just being vulnerable. But that's a good lesson for you to know. People will do whatever you want them to do based on one thing. All right? If you want someone to be sold on anything you're selling them on, all right, you want to try and limit how much of a lesson or pop quiz you make it for the person in front of you. So you don't ask, can you think of 3 reasons why? Just one. People will do anything based on one thing that they value. I don't mind if there's some repetition here this evening. I bought a truck, true story, to feel like a man. I was driving along Colonial, and I was like the light of Colonial and Bumby, just put it in perspective. I can't say that in other parts of the country. They'll be like, what are you talking about? And I was in a Volkswagen CC, and I saw this big guy with his arm out the window, and I was like, oh, I want to feel like that guy does. So I went to a truck dealership, and I bought a truck. And the guy asked, why do you want to buy a truck? And I just said, I want to feel like a man. So we went on a test drive, and we got back to the dealership. And he goes, well, does this truck make you feel like a man? I'm like, oh, does it? He goes, that'll be 60 grand or whatever the amount was. If he starts telling me it comes with this eco rim, these booster, this and this, I would then turn around and say, do you have a truck on the lot without those things for cheaper? You guys I'm going to teach you the psychology of, it doesn't matter if you sell someone on the one thing, you're getting them to tell you, the fact it's got all these other features and benefits that you think are beneficial hurt you if you share it. Is that hitting home for you guys? It doesn't, the sale has, can we understand, me getting my kid to eat vegetables is the same as you trying to sell someone a truck. Selling is, I'm having a conversation with another human being, because no one likes the word sales, correct? It's not a fond word. That's why my class is called Conscious Communication. But what I'm teaching is sales. All right, I'm looking to help you guys out is selling people on climate change, but better yet, you're getting them to sell themselves based on the questions and the caliber of the questions you're asking them. Can we agree? I can't teach everything though in an hour or 2 hours. I'll teach you a lot. I can't teach everything. All right, I'm going to do my best to provide with abundance. The hope is you'll leave here tonight typically with skill sets and things you can implement right away. It's not like you have to wait like 4 years to get a degree, all right, to use the things that I'm going to be teaching you tonight. I can't do this justice, this slide. So I get better in my ability to sell. I get better in my ability to bring on clients for myself and my communication because I get to do this. I get to teach you guys things. Let's say I teach you something here today and you're like, oh, Tom's like, I want to take notes on that, all right? Or you get your phone out and you take notes. In a one-word response, guys, what should you all be doing to get better at something?
Practice.
Okay. I just said I can't do justice. I can't do justice to this lesson. The people in front of you are not hearing the words that you are saying, and you are not hearing the words that they are saying, and I just proved it. Can we agree, if we're going to ask good questions, what's the most important thing that we have to do? Listen. And you want to get them to share all the information so you can gather as much information as possible from them so you get to leverage it back to them. If Steve played the tape back for you all right now, you would clearly see me, and I didn't invent this concept. I said I get better at my ability to communicate, my ability to sell, because I teach. Have you ever taught someone something and you got better at it as a result of teaching them? Right, so I didn't invent that concept. but you all said practice. Here's why you said practice. You are programmed to hear what you think is being said. One of my biggest clients came from a door knock on my front door where a young man started his conversation with me saying these words. Excuse me, I'm not here to sell you anything. Now, if someone says the words to you, here's the words they're saying. I'm not here to sell you something. What are you hearing them telling you?
I'm telling you something.
I'm here to sell you something. All right. Climate change. All right. Is that got a negative connotation with some people? Okay. The second you even say it, your like spider web senses or whatever you want to call it, a wall is going up the second you say it to someone. Can you see where I'm going with this? Like, I'll give you an example. I should be paid millions of dollars in my mind to go and teach at retail shops like Macy's and stuff. All right. Because they get paid commission, the salespeople. What is the one question? You go into any shop, retail, what's the one question every sales clerk asks you as you walk in there? How can I help you? And what is 10 out of 10 the response to that? No, I'm just looking, thanks. Okay. There are better questions that you can start with that help you to end. You didn't force someone to come into your store. I'm going to share with you ways tonight that you can start your dialogue where you're not saying the word climate change, so you're not getting people agitated or anything before you even go past go. I encourage you to make sure, though, that you ask people, if someone shares stuff with you, briefly summarize, hey, just making sure this is what I heard you say. All right? Or vice versa, say, hey, what did you hear me say? Just so you can get a gauge from them. Because every time you say, I'm not a this, they're hearing you are a this. If you say this is not get rich quick, this is get rich quick. And there's positive and negative connotation too. If you say these words, I hope I'm not being an inconvenience. The second you use the word inconvenience, what is their thinking? They're like, you weren't being one, but now that you mention it, you're an inconvenience. I hope you don't mind is a negative connotation. Just as an extra lesson here tonight, positive connotation, would you be open to hearing? Use the word open consciously. It's going to elevate your chances of making something colder to warmer very quickly. Do you see where I'm immediately? This is a slide I don't have to. My daughter, if I called her up, she would answer this. What is the golden rule of communication? It's always ask for permission. Anyone says anything you don't like, don't agree with, don't ever say I disagree with you, I agree with you, or the word but. No one likes the word but, all right? Everyone's offended by it, okay? So I'll teach you how to not use the word but in a sentence. But a golden rule is the best way, and again, you won't need a British accent for anything that I teach you tonight. You don't have to say, there's no script to what I'm going to be teaching you. It's more you just making it your own, but understanding the framework of your conversation. So is it okay if I share something? If someone says, Jamie, I think you're expensive, is it okay if I share something with you real quick? Hey, by chance, did you go to college? Okay. A lot of my clients tell me that what I teach wasn't taught in college. Would you agree with that? Yes. Okay. Would you say the things I'm going to teach you are more important than what you learn in college? Okay. Now that I said that, can you see where this is actually really sensible? Yes. But it starts with the words, is it okay if I share something with you? Then I know I'm going to ask a question that steers that conversation. Have you ever heard of the notion building rapport? Any of you know what building rapport? How would you define building rapport?
Find something in common with that person.
Beautiful, well done. Who agrees with Mary? All right, it's fine. Okay. People buy from people they feel the same as. Okay, now watch this. Pop quiz. I asked a question as the first question out of my mouth as I stood up here. They got every single hand in this room raised for those who were in the room. All right, for the first question. Does anyone, Tom had me repeat the question. All right. Does anyone remember the first question that I asked that got every hand raised? Jeff cheekily used the same words before he introduced me. All right, so I'm not letting Jeff answer. Anyone remember the question I asked? And his was good. No one's going to say, you learned from Jamie Miller, Art of Conscious Communication. They're not going to know what you're doing or why you're doing it.
Are you passionate about climate?
No, that was one of the questions, but it wasn't. So here's my first question.
Would you accept me as an expert?
That was my third question, but well done, close. All right, so the first question out of my mouth. So I'm going to teach you the framework. There's no script, but the first thing you've got to do in the foundational piece is make someone the same as you. The way I do that consciously in communication is use these 3 words: you, like, me. If I can consciously use the words you, like, me in the form of a question, what I'm doing subtly and subliminally is I'm making us the same. So here's what I said. Hey, before I start sharing, how many of you, like me, believe your ability to communicate is very important? Show of hands. Every hand goes up. Different age groups, different genders, correct, in the room, all right? You, like me, is a way, words that you can use in a question format to another individual to make them the same as you. If you don't know someone, Chris, are you like me? Do you value honesty?
Yes.
I've never had anyone ever say no, like please, I've never had anyone ever say no, please lie right to my face. I love it when someone does that, okay? Maria, are you like me? Do you value your time?
Yes.
Okay. We are the same. If you don't know someone, go generalize. The more specific that you get to your rapport build, the more likely you'll get someone on board. All right, so a good one, are you like me in appreciation of, the flowers and the trees and the things that are growing up around us, all right? Are you on the same page as me when it comes to this? Just because they say no doesn't mean that you're, what have you. Or one of the best things I would do, actually, if I was you guys, I'd go multiple choice. All right? Are you someone whereby you're completely, you are passionate about making a difference in this lifetime, all right, environmentally? Or are you someone whereby you're not so sure about it, all right, but you do believe that we as a race can make a little bit of a difference? All right, and I'm steering the conversation the direction I want it to go. Some of you in your communication can use tonality. I'll give you an example. So Maria, all right, how old are you, Maria? 17. My daughter is 16, all right? Now, let's just role play this, all right? Because this is what I do with my daughter. Hey Maria, do you think it's a really good thing or a really bad thing to be on your device too much?
A bad thing.
A bad thing. Why would you say it's a bad thing?
Because you're missing out on other stuff.
Missing out on what kind of other stuff?
Applying for college and getting volunteer hours in.
Okay. And why is that a problem?
Because it's like setting you up for your future.
Okay. So how would you feel if you didn't set yourself up for your future and you didn't get all those things that you just mentioned?
Really bad.
Really bad. So when it comes to your device, what are your thoughts then?
That I shouldn't spend that much time.
Okay, I agree with you. Now watch this. I said I'm going to make a conversation where I go into it with a predictable outcome. Every conversation you go into, you want to go into it with the words I agree with you cemented in your head before you start the conversation. You telling someone something, if I tell Maria, it's bad to be on your device, you'll end up with no friends, like a hermit in a room all by yourself, you won't go to college and you'll have all these things. It can go in one ear and out the other. I'll give you an example. If I tell my girlfriend, you're the most beautiful thing I've seen in the morning, she'll say, I think you need glasses. Why? Because I'm telling her something I believe, she doesn't believe it. It's one of those wax on, wax off moments. You tell someone, you've only got 45 years left, and hey, what if I was to share with you, we've only got 45 years left on these resources? Would that give you, and that's from your side, would that give you any impression that we should be doing something, or should we just let it all go to pot? What's your thoughts? We should be doing something. Okay, what are some, now you're asking them, what are some things you think we can be doing? I think I could be doing da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I agree with you. All right, it's a starting point. Do you see where I'm going with it? Also, by the way, are there different varied degrees on how passionate someone can be and in what they do when it comes to climate change? Can we look at it as a win that you just get them to make incremental at the start just to buy in so that they can then move on? Okay, so that means we don't bring like cheerleader. passion. What it is more clarity and accountability. All right? You want to set it up for success. If you think about no one in the world, remove the word need from your vocab. No one in the world will ever do what they need to do. Okay? You guys might be thinking, we're doing everything we need to do to save the climate. Are you guys all eating healthy every day? That food at the table over there would dictate? No. The pizza that Jeff is ordering would dictate? No.
Can I ask you something?
Of course. Yeah. That's the golden rule of communication.
You want me to just bring you all a slice so you can sit and listen while I bring it out to you?
That wasn't me saying don't eat the pizza, by the way. Like, that's the first. But what I'm trying, everyone needs to go to a gym, they don't. Everyone needs to drink X amount of water every day, they don't. No one will do what they need to do. Everyone will always find a way to do what they, no one will do what they need, but everyone will always find a way to do what they want. Okay, that's another conscious communication plague that you can do, guys. We live in a world of ADHD where people's heads going all over the place. I've been up here talking and your mind's been going all different places. I get it. When you use fill in the blank, there's two reasons you want to use fill in the blank. One, make sure someone's listening to you. That's how I did that. I can lead a horse to water, I can't make it drink. I know that you're listening to me, and I know that I'm still cool in youngsters' eyes that they actually understand that, because sometimes the youngsters don't know that expression.
Can make the horse thirsty.
Okay. Another way is conditioning. I did this, and this is a great play for you guys. If you can come up with a sentence for your own arena for climate change, I'm sure you've got one. You are man, woman, whatever you are. I did this in the prison. One of the reasons Jeff loves me, all right, is I'm going to do a documentary called Prison to the Pentagon, because I spoke in prisons, I'm speaking at the Pentagon. I feel like it's got a nice little ring to it. I was in a prison here in Orlando, and I had all these men role play to pretend to be married women, all right? Just to prove a point on how conditioned you are. Fill in the blank is a great skill set in communication to prove people are conditioned. So all pretend, every time I do this, just come up with the first word that comes in your mind, and just imagine you're married women for the purpose of this, all right? This is proving how conditioned we are. Let's say you've all been invited to the most prestigious ball on the planet. This thing doesn't come around a lot, and you've been invited to it. You've gone and bought yourself the most glamorous dress. You're having your makeup artist, your hairstylist come over to the house beforehand to get you all ready. You've got beautiful earrings. You've got a lovely necklace. And suddenly you realize you're missing a pair of shoes. Right, so you decide you're going to go to the fanciest mall in town. You go drive out to Mall Millennia, and you go to this really lovely shoe shop, and you see this really expensive pair of shoes. These shoes cost a lot of money. And you know when you get home, your husband will be absolutely furious. But you love these shoes so much, you decide to go ahead and buy them. All right, so you get out your wallet and you swipe and you left the store with a massive, even though you knew when you got home your husband would be absolutely, all right, you did it. Anyway, okay. Now Chris answered as a married woman. Clearly, Chris, you're not a married woman. Let me just start like in this, okay. Point being is, I'm proving you're conditioned to answer questions in a certain way. Watch this. Let's say if I'm selling you, and again, some of what I'm going to teach you tonight, you're going to have to go away and think of ways that you can ask someone something to get, like to say things where they're finishing the words on purpose. All right? I'll give you another example just so you have an example, analogy. Hey, I was told growing up, go to school, all right? And I got told that when I was in school, I have to go to college, all right, as Maria said. So, but to get in the best college possible, when I was in regular school, I got told I had to get really good grades. And it didn't end there. When I got to college, I got told I have to get more good. And then when I left college, mum and dad became really mean and evil. I didn't want to live at home anymore. They didn't want me living at home anymore. So I had to start making some money. The only way I knew to make money was go and get a job. Has anyone ever shared what JOB stands for to you? Just over broke. And with that just over broke situation, we're expected to save our money and live out this glorious life. Can we agree it doesn't work out that way for a lot of people? What I've just done is I've showed you how the world is programmed. And then I would say, who agrees that what I'm teaching tonight in financial literacy is way better? Show of hands, and then I get the hands raised. So what you're going to do is you're going to use fill in the blank to then transition your conversation to, can you see where this is a better option? Do you see where I'm going? Am I going at a level? Are you guys enjoying this so far? All right, good. You want to use you like me where you can. The more specific you get with you like me, the better. This is next level rapport building. People will subtly feel like you're the same when you do plays like this. If you look at the first ever text message I got from Monaco as a client, good afternoon, exclamation mark, space, upside down, question mark. Her ending, upside down, question mark, thank you, period, upside down, question mark. She said good afternoon. I had to Google how you do an upside down question mark, but she said good afternoon. So I said good afternoon, exclamation mark, space, upside down, question mark. My ending, upside down, question mark, thank you, period, upside down, question mark. If someone comes up to you and says hi, and you say hello, you're making yourself different from that person. If someone uses the word kids, you use the word children, you're making yourself different from that person. I can see on some of your faces, you're like, oh, I learned something here. If you're ever cold calling someone, you want to make the call warmer, wait for them to answer first, and just repeat back to them what they said. I'm not telling you become someone completely different. I'm just sharing, is it okay you're not losing your soul or sanity or personality? If someone says hello, can you say hello? Yes. All right, this is what is a game changer from you relating just to 1 out of 10 people to 3 or 4 out of 10 people. I should disclaimer, everything I teach you doesn't mean you're going to have 10 out of 10 successful conversations. If you ever run into someone who says that's going to be the case, run away from them. It doesn't happen. All right? But can you get buy-in from more people based on the caliber of the questions that you ask? Who likes this as a new thing? You've learned something today, all right? I have clients where they send me black hand emojis. Do not send black hand emojis back. All right? I don't send them black hand emojis back. I send them white hand emojis back. All right? Just so you know. All right? Just you can mimic the emoji. It gives you a whole load of options. All right? Just don't become someone you're not. All right? Just know that subtly they will feel this. It's a very subtle. I don't know why, but this person seems to get me more than other people. All right? On that basis. Now, I'm going to do a wax on, wax off. These are not my kids. I kind of use Maria as an example. All right, here is a scenario. Did you ever try to feed Mira vegetables? All right, since you're a mum in here, all right? Yeah. Okay, did Mira ever say this word to you? And there's a wax on, wax off moment. And if you're doing this kind of conversation in your homes, the chances of you becoming a complete professional and ninja in your climate change talks or professional talks, very low. Here's what most parents do. Hands the kid the broccoli or carrots, whatever it is, and the kid says, I don't like it. All right, and here's what most parents ask. They ask these questions. Have you ever tried it? And the kid says, no. All right, how do you know you don't like it? I just know. Okay, so those are 2 questions. They're questions, right? Remember I said the questions dictate the direction of the conversation. Are we any closer to the kids eating the vegetables on those 2 questions? No. My house, multiple choice question. This is where it comes in. The best way to steer a conversation is ask multiple choice. That's why, rather than going up to someone, are you here for the climate change? Hey, if there was something going on, all right, where you could make the biggest difference in the world, all right, by being there, would you want to be there? Would I be an alien from some far off planet, or would my feet be firmly on Earth? To think that would be a great idea for you. Do you see what I'm doing there? It's like if they say you're an alien, fine, I'm an alien. But like I'm making it, let's say there was something going on. It's not I want you to come and do a difference. It's let's say this was going on. Would I be an alien, or would that be a natural thought to think that? They're going to be like, oh, that's a pretty natural thought. Great, you're going to love this. Come with me. All right, it's a different scenario. If I want my kids to eat vegetables, just as a wax on, wax off moment, here's what I say. Kids, do you think I feed you healthy because I do or don't care about you? They go, because you care. Okay. Well, what benefit would you come up with for trying the broccoli? And my kid might go, I don't know. I know they won't listen to me, but what they will listen to is when I go, Alexa, what are the benefits of eating broccoli? And then Alexa goes off on this tangent, all these things. I say, Ruby, what one thing stood out? Remember I taught one thing you want. What was one thing Alexa shared that you liked? The thing about the brain. And I go, why is that? She goes, well, I need a brain for da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I said, well, what are your thoughts now? She goes, I should at least try it. I said, I agree with you. Same way with Maria with the cell phone. Devices. Do you see where I'm going? So everything in your conversation, climate change, has to be multiple choice questions, steer the conversation. Why do you think that? Let them keep talking. Maybe even have them elaborate. You know, I don't know if you realized with Maria earlier, I said, can you elaborate on that? Da, 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 da. You want them doing all the talking to you. And the more information you gather, the more you get to say, well, what are your thoughts now? I should get started with this. Okay, great. Does that make sense? Are you guys is this been good for you? Like,
It's counterintuitive.
go ahead.
Like if you're trying to get a point across and somebody's throwing up blocks, I don't agree with you, or, oh, you must be a Democrat, or, you know, only God can affect the climate, then your natural impulse is to say, hey, but wait a minute, you know, look at what's happening, look at these hurricanes, have you paid attention to what's going on with hurricanes? You know, that's your natural, so what you're saying is that it really takes some, like, pre-planning to be counterintuitive from what your natural reaction is, to instead say, well, and then you got to think about what question you're going to ask that's going to...
You raised actually a good point. So I was invited to, thinking about it, West 2 News before the 2020 election. I was invited to West 2 News to have, they wanted me to educate people where they're going to go for Thanksgiving dinner. All right, and you've got a red and a blue at the same dinner table, really passionate. All right, so I taught, how do you find agreement? Where's the rapport build? Okay, so I came up with a question, hey, look, all right, can we agree that it is a limited viewpoint and very narrow for us to think that just based on who lives in one house in this country, all right, that's what affects everything that we achieve in life, all right? And there's agreement, we're removing the red and blue. So a good thing for you guys to do is rather than be, you're a this or label it, be like, you could be like, would I be like the craziest person of all time? Or would my feet be a little bit on earth if I was to think that we as a race, and I would go to like, hey, like you might even start with this. Hey, over the last, have you ever learned anything about like the industrial age? I'm not very knowledgeable, but have you learned anything about industrial? Like, do you think the world has changed a little bit industrially over the last, as I like, you can use body language. Like, has the world changed industrially? Like, or like, you know, like was there a time have you ever watched a Western movie, like where you see like they're building the trains and stuff? Do you see what I'm doing? I'm not saying telling, it's have you seen these things? Do you think I'm not like that? Do you think it makes no difference whatsoever? Or could you actually see where there could be a little bit of a difference on that front? I didn't know I was going to teach this tonight. Here's a great thing. There's only one man who ruined it for us, but you can do this. If you want someone to go in agreement with you, body language wise, watch Mary's head. Mary, communication is very important. Okay, all right. Chris, there's nothing holding you back from using my skills tonight, correct? All right. The only person who ruined it was Bill Clinton, because he goes, I did not have sex with that woman. I will absolutely cooperate with the authorities. If anyone ever says the word to you, I did not, but their head is doing this, they are lying right to your face, all right? The mouth can lie, the body language can't lie. I got paid to go and talk in South Carolina to fraudulent examiners. How do you get witness confessions using body language? If I go like this, Jess got no choice but to shake my hand. If I go up to Chris with a fist bump, he's going to bump my fist. It's communication where you can do an action knowing that you're going to get a predictable reaction. Part of my goals tonight with you guys is to teach you things that you can implement to create predictability. All right? I agree with you. I promise you, if you go into every conversation with, how do I get to the place where I can say to this person, I agree with you? It means you've got to ask a more conscious question to that person. Does that make sense? Like, you can't say I agree with you if you just tell them a bunch of things. They're going to be saying I agree with you. You're going to be crossing your fingers, hoping and praying I agree with you. Do not be LA Fitness sales guy. All right. I used to work out LA Fitness on East Colonial. I now work out at the Crunch Gym on East Colonial, just to give it, again, I can't really talk too much about that in other parts of the country, but here today, you guys might be familiar with these places. I'd go up to the LA fitness sales guy and say, hey, I'm thinking of checking out Planet Fitness down the street, just to see what response it, and they would always say, oh, they don't have this, the swimming pool, they don't have the racquetball court, they don't have the aerobics room and the punching bags, and I would say, now you got me thinking I'm paying too much money. Why? I don't use any of those things. Do you remember what I said about earlier? And the more features, benefits you share with someone that they don't value, okay, by the way, if you do this, you'll fix this scenario, and you'll fix this, 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 and this. Well, I don't care about these things. I only care about this. I promise you, if you can find out, what do you care about, all right, when it comes to stuff? Oh, a big one. And again, I don't know how you're using it, but you've got to make it question-based. Steve, do you have any kids? No. Okay. Yet Steve cares about, all right, 45 years into the future. What was going through my head was, does he have kids? All right. Is that a natural thought process? If we're going to, all right, in your category, be like if you're speaking to people, I would use things like this. Hey, look, I don't know if we always like them. All right. Do you? You might not always like them. Do you love your kids? All right. What are most parents going to answer to that question? Yes. No. No. I happen to believe you love Amy. Do you love Amy? Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you feel like we have any sense of obligation to make or help the world be a better place for our kids? A parent's not going to find it very easy to say no to that. I'll give you an example. I took my ex-girlfriend, all right? Sometimes, have you ever heard the expression, no good sailor is created in calm weather? Any of you ever heard that quote before? Well, I went through a nightmare relationship, greatest gift on the world to me because it taught me so many lessons. But one of them was her daughter. She had to do, at the time, it was allowed where you could go door knocking to get money for choir, all right, for chorus, for the outfits, and it was selling cookies. And I said, what are you going to ask? I won't share names, but what are you going to ask? She goes, do you want to buy a cookie? I said, what can they answer to that? Yes. What else can they answer that? No. I'm like, okay, do you want a question that they can't say no to? Yeah. Knock on the door and ask them, do you like to help kids in need? All right, she sold 10 out of 10. Now, I just told you 5 minutes ago, don't believe someone if they tell, like, you're not, but that is a question. Do you like to help kids in need in a community around a school? Do you understand? Like, it wasn't, do you want to buy a cookie? All right, do you like to help kids in need? All right, that's a nice starting point. Do you see where I'm going with this for yourselves? Women are better salespeople than men. All right, and I put it down to emotional intelligence. I find emotional intelligence way more appealing and attractive to learn than actually what's taught in the buildings that I'm seeing right now from personal. I feel that emotional intelligence is way better than book smarts. All emotional intelligence is to me is your capacity to listen to another human being. All right, I'll give you an example. As men, it takes us a lot longer. All right, before pre-40, I did not know things like this. So my girlfriend of 4 years, whenever I just listen to her vent about something, she always tells me afterwards that she loves me as a result of being an ear. But men logically always used to want to solve something. All right. If you want to be appealing to if just for the women help me in here, if a man ever said to you guys, would you like me to listen, or would you like me to listen and provide a solution? Would that man go up in your estimation, all right, if they did that approach? Do you see where I'm going with that? All right, so the idea being is you want to gather information, you want to ask questions, you want to answer it and get them to an emotional space. All right, I'll use an example. Who is someone in this room who hasn't achieved everything they want in life and they're very passionate about achieving something? Just, okay. What's your, Mira, is it? Yeah. Okay, Mira, I'm going to use you as an example, all right? What would be one thing that you want to achieve in life and you'd be devastated if you weren't to achieve it? What comes to your mind?
Oh gosh, I wasn't to achieve it. I guess getting a job that I enjoy and I feel is meaningful.
Wow, okay. So you could be spending a lot of time at this job and stuff. Why did you pick that? You could have picked anything, having a family with kids or whatever it might be, but why did you pick that?
I guess it was the first thing that came to my head, but I guess being here, thinking about all these things makes me think about what I want to do for a job maybe, and my impact on the world.
What do you think, if you were put on the spot and you had to come up with a decision right now, what you would want to do for work, what would it be?
I don't know, creating policies or programs to help people in need, something like that.
Well, that sounds pretty powerful. Who would agree? That sounds pretty powerful. Okay. How would you feel if you were actually to land that kind of job where you could actually see the GPS that you're able to achieve those things? How would that make you feel, Mira, if you could describe the feeling?
Really good.
Just really good?
I mean, great.
Great? Okay. Now, let me ask you, how old are you, Mira?
24.
24. Let's say you get to your 60s, 70s, and you've never achieved any of that. All right. How would you feel then?
Depressed.
Can you elaborate on that for me?
I would feel like I didn't have any purpose and didn't lead a fulfilling life. So I would feel a lot of regret about the way I handled my life choices.
Right. Okay. You sound very does she sound very serious about this stuff? Okay. What value do you place on that then? A low one or a pretty high one?
Pretty hard.
Couldn't you see your ability to communicate would help you tremendously on getting there? Okay. Guys, watch what you, if you don't have the record, you might get the recording from Steve, but I would encourage you. All I did there was what, why, how. I never told Mira one thing. I just asked questions. What? Elaborate. Why? Do you want it? How would you feel if you got it? How would you feel if you didn't got it? She said certain words. Depressed. I'm like, oh, tell me more. Gathering more information so I can then say you sound pretty serious about this. I asked her, does her ability to communicate make a difference? Yes. Have you learned something from me tonight in communication?
Yes.
You have, genuinely?
Yes.
And would you believe I could teach you way more?
Yes.
You would? Guys, are you getting this very clearly, what I can do here? Who's getting what I could do based on what? Okay, you guys can do the same thing with climate change conversations. It doesn't change. The dialogue is exactly the same. What is one thing that you'd love to make a difference with on the planet? If there was one thing. And then you might even throw out group psychology. I said, oh, it could be this. Right? Oh, why did you pick that? Oh, because my mum, da 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 da. Okay, elaborate on that for me. Oh, well, da 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 da. And they're talking. Oh, interesting. How would you feel if you actually did that? Oh my God, it would be amazing. Then you ask, how would you feel if you never achieved any of that? Now watch this. Here's something you wouldn't learn typically every day or in a classroom. If you want to know if someone's in an emotional state, the more they're struggling to find the words to describe it, the more emotional they are. Think about when you climb up if you hike and you get to the top, it's called breathtaking. It means we're struggling to come up with words. If someone answers you way too fast and way too long words, it means you've still got them in a logical mindset. Does that mean? I want to be very cautious about what I'm going to share next. I'm going to make a disclaimer to you guys. And I'm sharing it, and I'm hesitant to share it because I would never usually share this in a room, but I'm making sure that you guys understand the importance of getting someone to an emotional state, because I get people to such an emotional state that I'm able to get 36 grand to teach someone for 10 hours a time. Do you understand? Like, I'm getting someone to such an emotional state on the difference that communication can make in their life and that they believe I can help them, that they're willing to invest 36 grand. Can we all agree the things that I teach here aren't taught at Rollins College, for example? All right, Rollins is 300 grand. Can I get someone to see where it's very sensible to invest in my help to help them land the job of their dreams, or if they want to run their own business, they're going to be negotiating a lot. I don't share every testimonial with you guys. Some people are realtors and they do one listing, multi-luxury $1 million listing. If their communication is good, can you connect the dots that they can make a difference financially for themselves? just understand they're not going to do it based on logic. And they're not going to do it because I tell them it's important. I'm getting them to an emotional state of how would you feel if you were able to do those things? Do you believe I can help you? Yes. Does that make sense? Like I found out from Mira, she's very serious about this. Here's another thing you want to do. If you ever do have a group of people, do what I did on purpose consciously. Who agrees with her? Now you've got buy-in from everyone else. You don't have to make things a one-to-one. All right. By the way, if you're ever, you guys ever do like a booth at a trade show or anything, you'll love this. You got the table set up, you got the climate change thing. If you've got a group of people, don't consciously just talk one-to-one with this person. Let's say this person is here and they're like, oh my God, and they say something positive. Hold that thought. Hey everyone, come here. You want to hear this? Go ahead. Who can clearly see? If you get them talking about it, I used the third question that came out of my mouth. Do you all have faith in Jeff or do you have to know stuff about me? Right? The reason being is, if it comes out of Jeff's mouth, I'm an expert, it's way more powerful than me saying I'm an expert. Does that make sense? So if you're ever doing a trade show and you've got a table and someone comes up, they say something powerful or positive and you can tell that it's going to be good, bring the other people in to hear that person talk about it. It will help you elevate. No one in the world, it's a psychology of no one wants to feel like a sucker. All right, when I talk on Friday in Nashville, for example, I'm taking a bunch of, I can show you the receipts on this. I've got 24 baseball hats that are remaining for the rest of my year, and then I'm done with bringing on all my clients that I want for life at that capacity. But the second one person in that room signs up with me and wears the baseball hat, other people in the room are going to be like, they're not going to feel stupid or a sucker for coming up to me and buying from me. Are you guys getting the importance? I hope you're understanding that if you get one person talking, it's better that they're talking about it, what you want, in front of everyone else. That's why when I went to Mira, who agrees with Mira? Like, it's buy-in from everyone.